recording start कर लेता हूँ. So I see that many of you are not able to access the recorded videos, although I have sent those in a very detailed, elaborated manner now. Like बहुत अच्छे से मैंने बहुत टाइम लगा के मैंने सब अरेंज कर दिया था so that you can easily access all those. And I still see that many of you are asking that sir, like, what to do and how to do, समझ नहीं आ रहा. देखो ये NCERT group 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 है. इसमें most of you are added. Those who are not added, there is a problem from your side. If you have texted me and you are still not added, that means your settings are not accurate. You need to change your settings. So यहाँ पे देखो ये फर्स्ट लिंक है ये ऑर्गेनाइज सिलेबस का. इफ यू विल क्लिक एट दिस यू विल गो टू यूपीएससी ऑर्गेनाइज सिलेबस. You can download it here. If you will go to this, you will get the drive link where you can download the books. If you go to this, you will get a sample class of how to read newspapers. It's a very effective, good class. You should watch that. If you will watch this is a essay writing workshop. इसको जाके देखो, like this an eye opening class. एक बार सबको देखना चाहिए. Recently I sent this link to a few students who have already done their classes on Vision IAS and all ऐसे वगैरह का. क्योंकि सर नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, मैंने कहा ठीक है अब ये वाला देख लो, पैसे से नहीं समझ में आ रहा है फ्री वाला देख लो. And you will find some of the comments below this. तो उन्हीं का कमेंट है ये सर की. So go and watch this if you have time. Then this is the previous batch polity classes. If somebody want to watch it fast, you open this link. It will carry you to that. Then similarly you have all the class links here. ठीक है, इस पे क्लिक करोगे, वहां जाओगे, वहां से फिर गूगल का प्लेलिस्ट मिलेगा. Many of you are confused about how to choose optionals. So this, you click on this link, you will go. I have discussed about sociology and other optionals as well. क्यों कौन सा लेना चाहिए. So you can watch this. Then अभी जो बैच चल रहा है पॉलिटी का, if you will click here, it will take you to a YouTube playlist जहाँ पे कि मैंने सब कुछ अपलोड कर दिया है. तो मैंने यहाँ लिख दिया this playlist has all the latest class videos including today's. तो अभी भी फिर next जब आएगा तो it will be uploaded in this playlist. Will open the playlist, you will get the video. Serial number से है 6, 7, 8 धीरे नीचे जाके. And then one of the most pertinent questions always students are asking कि how to read newspaper. तो ये जाके 2 घंटे का वीडियो देखना, ये भी eye opening lecture है. This is what you are supposed to do. I don't know कि लोगों को क्यों प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. Is it clear to all? सबको ये समझ में आ गया था या कोई थे अभी भी कि जिनको लेक्चर नहीं मिल रहा है? ठीक है, चलो अब क्लास स्टार्ट करते हैं. क्या हुआ? 3 of you have raised your hand. फैज, माझी, रमेश. क्या इशू है? फैज, रमेश. Yeah, so today it's a very interesting chapter. Chapter number 4, understanding laws, how laws are made in our country. By the way, before we start, this is an important information. We are starting personal mentorship batch for the February month. Some of you have already enrolled. So till 10th of February I will be taking admission for this month's batch. This will cover your entire syllabus. जो कुछ भी पढ़ना होगा ऑप्शनल छोड़ के, जैसे भी पढ़ना होगा, I will cover all those things. So you don't have to worry about your all the responsibilities from answer writing to essay writing to current affairs to all the static subjects will be my responsibility. You will be given a schedule, month-wise schedule which you have to follow. कल हमने और डिटेल से डिस्कस किया था. तो those who want to get enrolled, please get enrolled before 10th of Feb so that we can start in a coordinated manner. I hope all of you know the fee. 15,000 is the fee, and if you have any query, you contact me on my number. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. So how the laws are made? Duration is for entire 2023. Those whosoever is preparing for 2023 के लिए जो कुछ भी करना होगा, we will be doing here. Yeah. So about rules. In the last class we read about parliament. अभी उससे आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. So in our country, Article 14 talks about rule of law, equality before law. क्या कहता है, एक बार पढ़ो. They instituted several provisions in the constitution that would establish rule of law. The most important of these was that all persons in India, all persons in the independent India are equal before law. Now it may create a confusion, some sort of confusion for you when we are saying कि everybody is equal before law, but we know that president, governors have are given some special treatment. If you will read the powers of president, you will see that till the time he is the president, he cannot be accused of any criminal case. उसको अरेस्ट नहीं कर सकते. Even when MPs are in parliament, we were reading about MPs. So if an MP is attending a parliamentary session, even he cannot be arrested without the permission of the speaker. So this seems कि नहीं, कुछ स्पेशल लोगों के लिए स्पेशल ट्रीटमेंट है. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. क्या कहता है कि the rule of law means that all laws apply equally to all citizens of the country. No one can be above the law. देखो, once he is president, till the law is not applicable, but when the law will be applied, even the president will get the same amount of punishment for murder then anyone else will get. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि बोले कि ये तो प्रेसिडेंट है, इन्होंने मर्डर किया तो इनको हम 10 साल की सजा देंगे और किसी को 14 साल की सजा देंगे. So the punishment under the law, it's same for the prime minister, same for the MPs, same for the governor. Not even the president of a country is above the law. Now, when we will read history, we will study that, or some of us have already studied, that Britishers used to say that they have introduced rule of law in India. Britishers क्या बोलते कि if we would have not arrived in India, if we would not have colonized India, in India there would not have been any rule of law. हमारे यहाँ इससे पहले क्या था? Before Britishers in our country we had monarchy. So whatever Mughals were saying, that was the law. So Britishers take pride in this. लेकिन historians have disputed this claim. Historians इस claim को नहीं मानते हैं because of two reasons. First, the law that Britishers made were arbitrary. We have discussed about arbitrary laws, if you remember. And the second, the Indian nationalists played a prominent role in the development of legal sphere in British India. Arbitrary law का मतलब क्या है? Laws are made in such a way that police can arrest anyone and everyone without even much scrutiny. तो ऐसे लॉ का फायदा क्या है? If police can arrest anyone and everyone, such a law is same as not having any law. तो उनका ये जो लॉ था बहुत आर्बिट्ररी हुआ करता था. One of the acts is Sedition Act of 1870. In history we will read about Rowlatt Act. जिन्होंने पढ़ा है, some of you may remember कि इसके चलते क्या हुआ, बहुत सारे प्रोटेस्ट हुए, was known as the Black Law. And then first was the arbitrariness. Second was that Britishers themselves were not always ready to give us law, or at least fair laws. Our legal professionals have fought a long battle to make laws fair. तो ये कहना कि ब्रिटिशर्स ने अपनी मर्जी से हम लोगों को बहुत बढ़िया एक लॉ दे दिया इज नॉट गुड. So how the laws are made in our country at present times? An important role of the parliament is to be sensitive to the problem faced by the people. पार्लियामेंट के बारे में we have read. Parliament में we have elected representatives. These representatives are supposed to raise the concern of the common people. So Parliament effectively is a place which is sensitive to the problems faced by the people. एक लॉ देखते हैं, प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ वुमेन फ्रॉम डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट 2005. It's a very good representation of how laws are made in our country. Domestic violence generally refers to the injury or harm or threat of injury or harm caused by an adult male, usually husband, against his wife. Domestic violence का एक टाइम पे बहुत केस आता था. इन आवर कंट्री वी काइंड ऑफ टेंड टू नॉर्मलाइज दिस थिंग कि ठीक है, मतलब ओके. अगेंस्ट दिस a group of women fought a very long battle. कहाँ से शुरू होता है देखो. In 2005, Domestic Violence Act was passed, and these two ladies are remembering the journey that how this law was made. पहले अप्रैल 1991 में क्या रहा है, बहुत अच्छा रिप्रेजेंटेशन है, इसको पढ़ना चाहिए सबको. 91, a woman has been beaten by her husband and she had made a complaint, but she has no place to go. She has no access to bank accounts, and if she will complain, they may even throw her out. So again, throughout the 90s, the need for a new law was raised in different forums. Different women organizations started asking for some kind of law to stop domestic violence. The women herself were afraid of going to the police against such a domestic violences. They just wanted the violence to stop. But उस टाइम में क्या था, unfortunately the existing law is a criminal one and does not offer these options. उस समय जो लॉ थे डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के अगेंस्ट भी, वो क्रिमिनल लॉ थे. वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट व्हाट इज मेंट बाय अ क्रिमिनल लॉ. So in this case, this lady do not want any police action. She just want that she got her life right to stay in the house and get some respect. But if she will file a police complaint, her husband will be prosecuted like a criminal, and all those actions will happen, and that will ruin the family itself. कोई middle ground नहीं है. So in 1919, Lawyers Collective, a group of lawyers, law students, student activists, after a nationwide consultation, took the lead in drafting domestic violence prevention and protection bill. देखो, this law, generally what we think, law is made by the parliament. But in this case, you see, a kind of NGO, Lawyers Collective, drafted the bill. They created the first plan that this kind of a bill we need. Women's need this kind of a bill. Domestic Violence Prevention and Protection Bill. Now, they started discussing and debating about these bills. क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. So they said कि we need a new civil bill to address this issue. The definition of the domestic violence should include physical, economic, sexual, verbal and economic emotional abuse. देखो ये when draft, जब आप किसी बिल को ड्राफ्ट कर रहे हो, so you need to provide definitions and clauses for everything. So they are discussing and they are saying that domestic violence should include all these things. Even the emotional abuse should be considered as a domestic violence. They're also saying that there should be some scheme for monetary relief. Now they started organizing different meetings. ऐसा public meeting कर रहे हैं. And they said that women want a new domestic violence act. But finally, because of this mounting pressure from the women organization, Parliament made a bill in 2002. Parliament एक bill draft करता है. But the bill that Parliament made, it has none of the provisions that these women wanted. So they started opposing the bill. They organized some press conferences. They started online petitions. Finally, several women organizations like National Commission for Women made submission to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. We will read about Parliamentary Standing Committee क्या होता है. Finally, government listened to their ideas because of the pressure, and the law was changed. Finally, a new bill was introduced in the parliament in 2005, and नया जो अभी एक्ट है वो प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ वुमेन फ्रॉम डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट, that is in effect from 2006. You can also remember the Farms Act. 3 Farms Act that were first made and then repealed. They were first, actually farmers were the one who were asking for reforms because they were suffering and they wanted laws. So the law was made. But when the law was made, it was completely against what farmers were asking for. So they started protesting and government has to pull back the law. Now again the fresh law will come at some point of time. So this is how a law is made. पहले public discussion, then parliament releases a bill. There should be discussion on the bill in class. 11th we will see a detailed picture of step by step कैसे law बनता है. But for now you will, अच्छा मैं 9th लिख रहा हूँ. For now you get just satisfied with this. एक बहुत अच्छा term है that all of you must know. We often say, we often see the victims of acid attack, the victims of rape and all domestic violence. One thing you should consider is to not call these people as victims. Often women who have faced violence or are abused are seen as victims. But instead of victim, you should call them as survivors, because they are the ones who have fought that challenge and have are still surviving and have the courage to survive. तो कहीं भी ऐसे लोगों के लिए we should prefer the word survivor, not victim. Rape survivor, rape victim नहीं. As the above example shows the role of citizens. ये तो अभी अपने आप को समझ में आएगा. Thankfully you are in such a period where you have seen a live demonstration of how the people can force the parliament to change its laws. And that's the role of the citizens. If citizens will not be aware, their rights will be encroached. जैसे हमने पढ़ा था कि freedom, equality are the things for which we have to continue our fight. It's not one day struggle. आज की और कल छोड़ दिए and you are good to go. We also see that there are many unpopular and controversial laws. बहुत सारे repressive laws बनते हैं, and against these people criticize, and we must criticize these laws. If government is not listening, then we can go to the judiciary, and judiciary have or court has the power to modify or cancel the laws. Polytechnic वाले protest करें, arrest us. So this is a very good line that you should remember, that our role as a citizen does not end with electing our representatives. As a citizen, we are supposed to be an active participant in the functioning of democracy. Democracy doesn't mean that only the elected representatives will work. Once you have given the vote, your task is over, and the next 5 years after you will go and vote, and then again your task will be over. In democracy, every citizen has to be a very active member. Thankfully, those who prepare for UPSC, they become an active member. So, तुम लोग active member बन जाओगे. Next chapter में हम judiciary को देखेंगे थोड़ा, how the law works. In chapter 5, we will see 5 separate but interrelated concepts of judiciary. And in chapter 6, we will see criminal justice system. Now, ये criminal justice system बहुत important है. We see often questions being asked from this topic, and you will find many editorials written on this specific topic. Judiciary. Now, to enforce the rule of law, we have a judicial system that consists of the mechanism of courts that a citizen can approach when a law is violated. Parliament has made a law, but what's the guarantee that that law will be followed? Judiciary is the guarantee. If any law made by the parliament is not followed, you can go to judiciary for getting justice, complain against that law. हमने डिस्कस किया था ऑर्गन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. Now, one of the major function or the judiciary plays a crucial role in functioning of the Indian democracy. It can play this role only because it is independent. इसका meaning क्या है independent का? That we will see in this chapter. What is meant by judiciary being independent? First role of judiciary. एक मिनट रुको, मुझे थोड़ा गला सूख रहा है. Just a second. तो role of judiciary क्या क्या role है? Dispute resolution. We know if two people are fighting, or government and citizen is fighting, or two state governments are fighting, or central or state government is fighting, any kind of dispute, you will go to judiciary. This is clear to all. Judicial review, this is important topic. You will read a lot about it in Lakshmikant and in later higher classes. Judiciary is the final interpreter of the constitution. A question कई बार आता है, final interpreter of the constitution. What does this mean? What देखो, judiciary or constitution is a very complicated book. It has many provisions which are written in cryptic ways, not very clear, or with time they evolve. So what is the exact meaning of those constitution provisions? Only Supreme Court or judiciary, Supreme Court can decide that what does this law means, and whatever will be their interpretation, government has to follow that. Like in the last class, I was giving you the example of right to electricity came under right to life. So right to life का interpretation क्या होगा? How broad right to life will be? That will be decided by the judiciary, and the government has to abide by that. So final interpreter of the constitution. Because of this, they can strike down the particular laws passed by the parliament. The judicial review का मतलब क्या है? If parliament has passed any law and judiciary thinks that this do not conform to the principles or values of the constitution, judiciary can strike down those particular laws. We will discuss about basic structure of the constitution. देखो, अच्छा थोड़ा सा मैं बता देता हूँ. Kiran was asking for many days this. So basic structure of the constitution क्या है? There was an act in 1973. एक पूरा debate है. There is a book called Constitution. There are two organs, judiciary and parliament. Judiciary says I am the final interpreter. So whatever parliament want to does, if that is not according to the constitution, judiciary can strike it down. But parliament doesn't like this. Parliament says I am the representative of the people. I should be free to do whatever I want to do. I should not be bound by judiciary or anyone else. So they says कि अच्छा ठीक है, मतलब तुम बोल रहे हो कि मुझे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से ही काम करना है, आई विल चेंज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इटसेल्फ. तो मान लो पार्लियामेंट ने कोई लॉ बनाया, जैसे कि सबको क्या करना होगा, मान लो सबको हिंदी बोलना होगा. मोदी जी कोई लॉ बना देते हैं कि एवरीबॉडी इन द कंट्री हैज टू स्पीक हिंदी. दिस लॉ गोज टू पार्लियामेंट, जुडिशरी के पास. जुडिशरी विल से कि नो, दिस लॉ इज नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू the constitutional provisions. Constitution grantees right to religion and culture. So they can strike it down. This law will not be applicable. Now, but Parliament says, no, people have given me the vote and I can do whatever I want to do. So what they can do, they can change the right itself, right to religion and culture को ही वो बदल दे कि now there is no right to culture. If that will happen, Parliament will get extreme right. They can do whatever they want to do. They can change the whole constitution in whatever manner they want to do. Yesterday they will say कि only this religion will exist, or everybody has to do this. Extreme power. But in 1973, our judiciary come up with the principle of basic structure. It says that Parliament can change everything. Whatever you want to change, you change. But you cannot change the basic structure of the constitution. The logic behind this is that no country should interfere into the basic principles for which our freedom fighters have fought for. जिसके लिए हमने इतनी कुर्बानी दी है, जो फंडामेंटल चीजें हैं उसको कभी भी पार्लियामेंट ना बदल पाए. फॉर दैट पार्लियामेंट जुडिशरी गेव अ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्राइन. नाउ व्हाट आर द थिंग्स दैट पार्लियामेंट कैन नॉट चेंज? In 1973, judiciary doesn't give any list कि ये सारी चीजें ही नहीं चेंज कर सकते. They listed a few, and since then judiciary has added a lot of things under this list. So one of the features is like federalism. Federalism, we have discussed that there should be two levels of government, or at least more than one level of government. Now federalism is a basic structure. So even if no matter how powerful government comes, even if in next election BJP wins 500 out of 500 seats, they cannot say कि there will be no states. They cannot dismiss the state governments. They cannot have say कि we will have only one government in the country. Central government will rule everyone else. ये नहीं कर सकते because this is a very core principle federalism. Similarly, many fundamental rights are also considered as basic structure, not all. तो यहाँ पे एक बैलेंस मिलता है, इसको बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर बोलते हैं. सो ये आइडिया है जुडिशियल रिव्यू का. और भी इसमें बहुत सारे चीजें हैं, वी विल डिस्कस स्लोली वन बाय वन लेटर. बट अभी कोई तुमसे बोले कि बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है, आई होप इट विल बी क्लियर टू यू. ठीक है. Kiran is saying कि what is the fail-safe mechanism if judiciary fails to work? There's no fail-safe mechanism here, and that's why people are worried that if judiciary become accomplice, if judiciary compromises its core values, if judiciary and parliament colluded, then it becomes very dangerous for Indian democracy to work. इसलिए जब पेगासस का इशू हुआ, all of you are aware about Pegasus case? It was an virus, snooping software. So this snooping software, as per the international reports, this Pegasus virus was also in the phone of then Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi. So it is accused that government has many information on him, and it was used as a way, or it could have been used. There's no proof, but allegations are made that judiciary for some time was compromised because a person who was in clutch of the parliamentarians was heading that. Although this all is a allegation, I'm not confirming any of this, लेकिन उस समय में अपने पास कोई फेल सेफ मैकेनिज्म नहीं है. Judiciary in itself is very powerful. Chief Justice of India is very powerful position, and if these two people collude, it becomes difficult to check. The sound is low. Sound is okay, I think, from my side. The next thing is upholding the laws and enforcing fundamental rights. Now, as I have told you in the last class, that whenever a fundamental right is violated, you can directly go to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court can give justice. So Supreme Court और High Court में भी जा सकते हैं, and they are there to protect our fundamental rights. We will discuss more about this. हमने ये वो वाला केस देखा था, पश्चिम बंगाल खेत मजदूर समिति. There was this guy was refused by many government hospitals. Then the judiciary has said that he should be paid compensation. Supreme Court was established on 26 January 1950, and its predecessor was Federal Court. Now, why do we need an independent judiciary, and what is an independent judiciary? One aspect of independence is separation of power. We have read, and I have emphasized again and again, that in our country, in a good democratic country, anywhere, we need separation of power. Executive, judiciary, and legislature should have a degree of separation between them. This means that other branches of the government cannot interfere in the work of the judiciary. The court are not under the government or do not act on their behalf. जैसे कि क्या हुआ a few during the time of COVID, I don't know how many you have seen, there was a very viral video of a lady who has died on the platform, and his child was playing there, not aware of what has happened. Become a very viral video. Now, in this case, this happened here in Muzaffarpur, where I'm staying. My father is closely involved with that case. So, what happened in that case? That court, Bihar High Court, take a suo moto. Nobody filed a case in this stance, but High Court itself take a cognition of the case and filed a case against the government for its negligence, and that case is still going on. Now, if the High Court would have been working under the government, do you think that Supreme Court, High Court का इतना हिम्मत होता कि वो government के against case करे? They would not have done, right? But since High Court is independent, they can even question the government. जुडिशरी में जाओगे तो वैसे तो बहुत डीएम साहब, एसपी साहब का बहुत पावर होता है, but if you want to see the real power, then you go to judiciary. Even forget about High Court. Even if you will go to lower judiciaries, these judges, they act in a very authoritative manner. वो असली औकात दिखाते हैं पे कि अब बाबू आ गए हो यहाँ. So they are independent because the court are appointed by a very little interference from those other branches of the government. कोर्ट के जो जजेस अपॉइंट होते हैं, there is a long method, popularly known as collegium method. We will read about that later, but idea here is कि जज को अपॉइंट करने में भी किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल का बहुत बड़ा रोल नहीं होता है. If government will be given a power to appoint judges, they will appoint all the people whom they like only. And again, the independence of the judiciary will get affected. So appointment में कोई role नहीं. Similarly, in the case of removal also, once these judges are appointed, it's very difficult to remove a judge. So they do not fear anyone. उनको ये डर नहीं है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट हाई कोर्ट के जज को ये डर नहीं है कि if I will give a judgment against the president or against the prime minister or against any MP, I will be removed from my post. They are given a sense of security so that they can take tough decisions. So it's the independence of the judiciary that allow the court to play a central role in ensuring that there is no misuse of power by the legislature and the executive. That's why its independence is very important. And that's why parliament or executives, they always try to interfere into the appointment or removal of the judges. They want more power so that they can interfere with this. So judiciary as a system in itself, we as a citizen have to be very aware and concerned that the independence of judiciary is maintained. The next is, what is the structure of courts in India, how courts are organized. This is not very difficult to understand. In our court, we have three systems. On the top, we have Supreme Court, then we have high courts in all the states, and then we have subordinate courts. So subordinate court को district court बोलते हैं, कहीं कहीं तहसील लेवल पे भी courts हैं. The head of the district court is district judge. The decision made by the Supreme Court are binding on all other courts in India. ये बहुत ही एक important और interesting feature है Indian judiciary का. It's known as independent as well as integrated court. Integrated का क्या मतलब है? All the decisions that High Supreme Court will take will be binding on all the high courts throughout the India. If Supreme Court has said something, high courts are supposed to follow that line. And if a high court has made some decision, district courts are supposed to follow that line. और Supreme Court has made, तो मतलब अगर तुम्हारे ऊपर वाले ने कोई लॉ बना दिया, you have to follow that. Integrated law system है. But if you will go to USA, if you will read about USA, you will find that each state has its own Supreme Court. और सेंटर पे एक फेडरल कोर्ट है which is very less powerful. It doesn't has much power. तो उनके यहाँ पे independent court है, but it's not integrated. We have independent court, but an integrated one. ये कुछ factual चीजें हैं, you should read about. One task I am giving you. You have to find out which is the high court of, where is the high court of Andaman and Nicobar, where is the high court of Daman and Diu. Find out about all the union territories where their high courts are, because we have only 25 high courts. तो बाकी के state का high court कहाँ है? Like Punjab and Haryana has their common high court at Chandigarh, and Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram और अरुणाचल का common high court गुवाहाटी में. आंध्रा एंड तेलंगाना का सेपरेट कोर्ट हो गया 2019 से. You find about all these. हमने ये पढ़ लिया इंटीग्रेटेड जुडिशियल सिस्टम. नाउ another word is here appellate system. Appellate system का मतलब क्या होता है? In our country you cannot directly go to सुप्रीम कोर्ट. ये नहीं कि तुम्हारे घर में चोरी हुई और तुम जाके सुप्रीम कोर्ट में केस कर दो कि मेरे बगल वाले ने मेरा गहना चोरी कर लिया. ऐसा नहीं होता. There is a appellate method. First you will be going to your district court, then district court. If you are not satisfied with the judgment of district court, you will go to high court, and then you will go to supreme court. But only in the case of fundamental rights you can directly go to a high court or you can directly go to a supreme court. बाकी और किसी भी मैटर के लिए, चोरी हो जाए, मर्डर हो जाए, you have to go to district court, high court and supreme court. So this is known as appellate system. Now एक केस है, इससे समझते हैं कि how the appellate system works. State of Delhi administration versus Lakshman Kumar and others. What happened that Lakshman Kumar married 20-year-old Sudha Goyal, and they were living in a flat in Delhi with Lakshman, his brother and their family was living. On 2nd December 1980, Sudha died in a hospital due to burns. Many people saw her in flames, and they even see that some of them also saw that she was tossed by, she poured kerosene oil on her. Her mother-in-law poured kerosene oil on her, and her husband lit the fire. During तो ये क्या होता है, केस जाता है. During the trial, the members of the Sudha family and neighbors stated that Sudha has been subject to torture by her in-laws. Finally, on the basis of the evidences, the trial court, the local court, they convicted Lakshman, his mother Sakuntala, his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra, and sentenced all of three to death. बहुत strict punishment there. After 3 years, in 1983, they appealed in the High Court. So the accused appealed in the High Court against the verdict of the trial court. Now, after hearing, High Court ने क्या किया? They acquitted Lakshman, Sakuntala and Subhash Chandra. They acquitted all of them because in High Court they were not able to prove. The Sudha and his lawyer was not able to prove, and finally High Court said that Sudha died due to accidental fire accused by kerosene stove. Now you will know, if you have read or you have heard your parents talking, dowry deaths were very common in those days. So some women organizations come up and they took this case. They protested against the failure of the courts to bring these cases to justice. So finally, एक union बनता है, India's Federation of Women Lawyers, and they appealed against the acquittal of Lakshman and his family members in the Supreme Court after 2 years again. Now Supreme Court fined Lakshman and his mother guilty and acquitted brother Subhash Chandra. और उनका जो डेथ सेंटेंस था उसको इन्होंने रिड्यूस करके प्रिजन फॉर लाइफ कर दिया. So now you have probably understood how the judicial system works: Supreme Court, High Court, and lower courts. So next very important topic. Many of the people, even after completing all the polity and all, do not know this basic difference. The difference between criminal law and civil law. If you are reading newspapers and all, तो तुमने अक्सर देखा होगा केस का नाम ऐसे लिखते हैं: स्टेट वर्सेस लक्ष्मण कुमार एंड अदर्स. state versus or government of India versus someone, government of Bihar versus someone. So why these cases are written like these? आपको क्या होता है, दो केसेस हैं, क्रिमिनल लॉ एंड सोशल लॉ. क्रिमिनल लॉ को क्या कहते हैं? क्रिमिनल लॉज आर क्राइम अगेंस्ट सोसाइटी. इट्स अ वायलेशन ऑफ क्रिमिनल लॉ. जब कोई किसी का मर्डर कर रहा है, कोई चोरी कर रहा है, a murderer is just not committing a crime on the person whom he is killing, to who he is killing. He is committing a crime against whole society, because society has made this law that nobody should murder anyone. So by murdering someone, he is breaking the law of the society. He is doing a crime against society. So इस तरीके के क्राइम्स को हम लोग क्रिमिनल लॉ के अंडर ट्रीट करते हैं. But there can be some other crimes, like the dispute between the renter and the landlord. टेनेंट एंड लैंडलॉर्ड में अगर झगड़ा होता है रेंट को लेके, so this is a personal dispute between them. इसमें सोसाइटी को कोई थ्रेट नहीं है. so इस तरीके के लॉज को सिविल लॉज बोलते हैं. जैसे एक बार देख लो, इट्स अ वेरी गुड कंपैरिजन. Criminal laws deal with the conduct or acts that laws define as offenses. जैसे कि theft, harassing a woman to bring more dowry, and the murder. तो जितने भी क्रिमिनल लॉज में देखोगे ना, because criminal laws are crime against society, so you will see that लक्ष्मण ने अपनी वाइफ को मार दिया. So it's not just a crime against Sudha or it's a crime against Sudha's family. It's crime against whole state. So इसीलिए इस केस को बोलते हैं लक्ष्मण वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ दिल्ली. बिकॉज ये केस अब सिर्फ सुधा की फैमिली नहीं लड़ेगी, ये केस अब स्टेट लड़ रहा है लक्ष्मण के अगेंस्ट. ठीक है, स्टेट विल अपॉइंट इट्स ओन लॉयर. स्टेट इज फाइटिंग this case. Police will hire lawyer to fight against Lakshman. क्या करें? It usually begins with lodging an FIR with the police who investigate the crime, after which a case is filed in the court. क्रिमिनल केस में पहले FIR फाइल होगा और फिर उसके बाद कोर्ट में केस फाइल होगा. सिविल लॉ में क्या होता है? It deals with any harm or injury to the rights of individuals. It's not against society, it's against individual. क्या बोल रहा है? अगर जमीन के सेल को लेके प्रॉब्लम है, परचेज ऑफ गुड्स को लेके प्रॉब्लम है, रेंट मैटर्स के लिए है, डिवोर्स केसेस हैं, ये सारे सिविल लॉज हैं. प्रॉपर्टी रिलेटेड केसेस आर सिविल लॉज. सो दे अफेक्ट द पार्टी ओनली, दे आर नॉट अफेक्टिंग द ओवरऑल सोसाइटी. अब देखो क्रिमिनल केस में क्या है? Anybody can file a case. Say Lakshman has burnt his wife. Now the family of Sudha can file a case, as well as you or me as a individual can also file a case against Lakshman because he is doing a crime against society. But if two people are fighting for rents, you cannot go and file a case upon the landlord or on the tenant. It's their matter. If they want to go to the court, only they can go. In a rent matter, either the landlord or the tenant can file a case. Only they can file. यहाँ पे क्या है? Court can give specific relief asked for. In criminal case, you must go to jail. There are specific provisions. कि अगर if you have done a theft, the provision is for 6 months jail, you have to go 6 months jail. The IPC is a predefined penal code. बट इन सिविल केसेस स्पेसिफिक रिलीफ दिया जा सकता है. सो नाउ यू प्रॉब्ली अंडरस्टैंड कि व्हाई डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट वाज important. Before this act, if a wife would have lost a case or complaint against her husband was mandated to go to the jail if it was proof that he has beaten her. Now, once it is a once it is considered as a civil case, the judge can give whatever judgment he wants or he thinks is suitable for the woman. तो यहाँ पे बोल सकता है कि you give her 50% of your salary and allow her to leave, give her this portion of your house and the matter is settled. नहीं तो इस केस में क्या है, if it is being made criminal, the husband will go to jail. Now women do not have any other way to survive. She will be thrown out of her house by the in-laws anyway, and even if they will not throw her out, what she will be eating, because most probably the male member is the only breadwinner. So civil cases court can give specific reliefs asked for. जैसा बोलेंगे वैसा जजमेंट हो जाएगा. जैसे कि सिविल केस में कोर्ट कैन सिंपली से द टेनेंट कि भाई तुम मकान खाली कर दो और किराया दे दो. देयर विल बी नो jail. But the problem doesn't stop here. All of this sounds very good कि गया सजा मिल गया और राइट मिल गया. But access to court is a very important topic. All of us, like we are so much educated, we do not want to get involved with police. We do not want to file cases. We do not understand judiciary. So although every citizen has the right to justice through the courts, it's difficult for vast majority to access judiciary. पहला क्या है, पैसा चाहिए. There's a lot of paperwork involved, and there's a lot of time involved. Because of this, the very essential right to justice is denied. इसके अगेंस्ट क्या किया? In response to this, Supreme Court in early 1980s devised the mechanism of PIL. ये बहुत ही important इंडिया का एक अपना इनोवेशन है. PIL, Public Interest Litigation. Our Supreme Court come up with this idea. क्या होता है पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन में? It allowed individual or organizations to file a PIL in the High Court or the Supreme Court on behalf of those whose rights are being violated. अभी क्या हो रहा है? If a factory owner is not paying the rent to the laborers, it can be considered as a criminal law. It should be considered as a civil dispute. Now in the civil dispute, only the laborer has to go to the court and complain कि भाई मुझे salary नहीं मिली है. But everybody knows that laborers can't go. They did not have the money, did not have the time, they did not know the paperwork. So our judiciary come up with the idea of PIL. In the PIL, any individual or organization, like in the case of criminal cases, can now go to Supreme Court and High Court on behalf of these laborers and file a complaint against the factory owner. It was made so liberal, it was made so simplified that you don't need any lawyer to file a complaint. You just write a letter or telegram to the Supreme Court and High Court, and that letter will be treated as PIL. Now, PIL बहुत बार बहुत अच्छे तरीके से यूज हुआ है and people have get a lot of justice because of this one instrument. PIL was used to secure justice for a large number of issues such as rescuing bonded laborers, securing the release of prisoners. नाउ हमने मिड डे मील की बात पढ़ी थी. दिस ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड एज अ PIL ओनली. जब तेलंगाना सॉरी तमिलनाडु गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड गिविंग मिड डे मील्स, PUCL, remember this name, PUCL files a PIL in the Supreme Court and they said ki government has stored so much food in their godowns, but people are not being given, people are hungry. So court ordered that everybody should be provided midday meals. It also asks the states to appoint food commissioners. तो एक PIL के चलते ही मिड डे मील स्कीम शुरू हो पाया. नाउ यू कैन प्रॉब्ली अंडरस्टैंड द पावर ऑफ जुडिशियरी. But court judgments are not also always in the interest of common person. Many a times even court judgments are biased. Like nowadays, many court judgments are accused of favoring the rich people, discriminating against the poor. If you have been seen my blog, you should read. There is a story of the slum dwellers in Delhi. Recently, it has been about 7-8 months back. Delhi High Court passed an order, Supreme Court passed an order that the people who are living besides the railway tracks in unrecognized colonies or slums, those colonies should be evacuated. They were not given sufficient time at that point. Now, after much protest and all, that judgment is quashed now. But मेरे blog पे एक story है, कंगना का ऑफिस और कंगला का घर. On the same time, Kangna Ranawat's house was destroyed in Mumbai. You should read that. You will come to realize कि कैसे court judgments में कई बार बहुत anti people हो सकते हैं. Now, but you should know about Olga Tellis case, a very landmark judgment. In Olga Tellis versus Mumbai Municipal Corporation case, इसमें क्या हुआ? Right to livelihood. इसमें कोर्ट ने राइट टू लिवलीहुड को राइट टू लाइफ के अंदर ट्रीट किया. एक्चुअली द केस वाज दैट देयर वर सम स्लम ड्वेलर्स हु वर लिविंग इन द अर्बन एरियाज, इन अर्बन स्लम्स. मुंबई म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन said कि everybody has to evacuate from this region. These slum dwellers went to judiciary. Judiciary said कि these people are living here not out of choice. They're living because they're forced to live like that. They are living here. If they will not live, they're pity workers. They do small works in the town. If they will start living 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers away from the town, their whole day will be consumed in coming and going to the house and they're not earning enough. So अगर ये slums को छोड़ देते हैं, their livelihood will be destroyed. They will not be able to earn wages. Their life will be ruined. So court ने कहा कि until unless you make some provision for them where they can live and earn their livelihood, you do not have the right to evacuate these people. समझे? बहुत ही एक लैंडमार्क जजमेंट था जिसमें साफ साफ कहा कि बिफोर evacuation, before removing any kind of encroachment, you first have to ensure the livelihood. अगर किसी के पास खाने पीने का कुछ नहीं है, आप उसको उसके घर से, उसकी जगह से नहीं निकाल सकते, even if they are living there illegally. क्या कह रहा है कि petitioners live in slums and on the pavements because they have small jobs to nurse the city. For them, there is nowhere else to live. But then there is other aspect of judiciary also. Justice delayed is justice denied. You will read here about a case where 43 Muslims were killed in 1987. Yeah, Kiran, I will come to you. And it took more than 30 years for them to get a justice for these people. हाँ किरण बताओ. Would right to life be stronger than right to privacy? Right to life and right to privacy are not conflicting. Right to privacy is a part of right to life. Someone encroach your own place. Yes, in that's not a right to privacy. It's actually right to property. Even in the civil cases, if there is some lawyer in the class, they may correct me. But my knowledge is that on any piece of land, if somebody has made his house, even if it's not there, and even if you have all the papers and all to prove that it's your right, the first claim is of the person who is already living there. If somebody can prove that I am living on this land for 10 years, it has, or 20 years, it has more validity than your paperwork. इंक्रोचर या जो रह रहा है उसको हमेशा प्रायोरिटी लॉ देता है, बिकॉज वो और कहाँ जाएंगे. तो खैर वो सब लीगल इश्यूज हैं, वी आर नॉट गोइंग इनटू ऑल दोस. द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर इज अबाउट क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम. बहुत कुछ नहीं है इसमें, काफी एक अच्छा सा ग्राफिक्स है. यू शुड रीड अबाउट दिस एंड यू विल कम टू नो कि व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ. ये 4 लोग हैं, इनका रोल समझना है इन criminal justice system: public prosecutor, defense lawyer, judge, and police. So let's suppose somebody has done a crime, or somebody is accused of a crime, not actually done a crime, accused of a crime. Now if a person has done a crime and if it's a criminal crime like theft, police will get a public prosecutor. Police plus public prosecutor will plead against this person to be sent to jail. Now this person will hire a defense lawyer to plead his case or her case. In the situation, if this person has no money to hire a lawyer, government will provide him the lawyer as well. तो देखो, एक तरफ ये भी गवर्नमेंट का लॉयर, ये भी गवर्नमेंट का लॉयर. But public prosecutor is also always fighting for the police. Whatever police is saying, public prosecutor's job is to try to prove, not prove by hook and crook, but try to prove. And defense lawyer's duty is to defend the accused. And then there is judge. You read this story, it will be understandable. कोई ऐसा मुश्किल काम नहीं है. We'll discuss about this in class 11th में और डिटेल से. यहाँ पे देखोगे एक स्टोरी है. हाउस हेल्प वाज अक्यूज्ड ऑफ theft of a gold ring or something. तो उसमें कैसे कैसे रोल है वो स्टोरी बना के अच्छे समझाया, देख सकते हो एक बार. नेक्स्ट 2 चैप्टर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, डायरेक्ट जो हमारे सिलेबस से हैं, अबाउट मार्जिनलाइजेशन. दिस इज डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू आवर syllabus. So we will read these 2 topics in a little bit detail. Marginalization of different communities. We will take some questions of mains as well. Let's take a break here. We'll come back at 3 और नेक्स्ट का 2 चैप्टर करेंगे. ठीक है. Anybody has any question, you can ask. We'll meet at 3 on the same line. Like marginalization पढ़ेंगे. हाँ प्रिया बताओ क्या प्रॉब्लम था. हाँ किरण. मोहित सिंह ग्रुप में एप्लीकेशन क्यों आ रहा है? बिकॉज यू ज्वाइन लेट, दैट्स व्हाई एप्लीकेशन आ रहा है. किरण, यू वांट टू आस्क एनीथिंग? But why federal structure is followed for judiciary like political? Actually, our judiciary do not follow the federal structure. It's not followed in our country. In other countries is followed. So we will discuss about that. क्यों नहीं होता है judiciary again class 11th में discuss करेंगे. We will compare two countries. A lot of BDS are in the batch. Smohi was in the dentist clinic. वृंदा भी देखो, दोनों लोग डेंटिस्ट दोनों कमेंट कर रहे हैं एक साथ. Sir, if a dispute occurs between a person and a particular group of people, like a community, would that be civil or criminal? Like a dispute occur between a person and a particular group of people. Now that depends on what the dispute is for. Dispute अगर जमीन के विवाद के लिए हो रहा है, somebody has encroached upon somebody's property, then it's a civil case. But in that dispute somebody has broken someone's head or leg, तो criminal हो जाएगा फिर. हाँ प्रिया, व्हाट्सएप में. Sai, we will discuss about Keshwananda Bharti case. I just wanted to give you a highlight about what this means. When we will go to class 11th, we have to read that in much more detail. Basically, it says that government can not change the whole constitution, no matter how much majority, how big majority you have. I will explain, Hitan, don't worry. I will explain that sustainable development goals and I will give you a mnemonic to remember all those. Yeah, Priyanka.
Sir, what is the difference between this dispute resolution and judicial review?
Dispute resolution is when two people are fighting for something, or a person is fighting to the state कि I should be given, like currently जितना भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा है वो डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन है. जुडिशियल रिव्यू में क्या होता है, गवर्नमेंट हैज मेड सम लॉ and you are not satisfied by that law, so you will complain against that law to the judiciary that this law should be removed. Conflict में हो रहा है, two states are fighting for the distribution of their river water, they are fighting for the distribution of their boundary. A person is fighting a case against the state that I should get the job, तो वो सब हो गया dispute resolution. Anything else? Anyone? PIL मैंने समझाया तो PIL अरे इतना समझाने के बाद भी पूछ रहे हो PIL। पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन होता है। हमने क्या देखा कि सिविल केसेस में बहुत सारे कॉमनर्स जो हैं जिनके पास नॉलेज नहीं है लॉ का, दे कैन नॉट गो टू जुडिशरी। लेकिन सिविल केसेस में ऐसा है कि ओनली द पर्सन हु इज अग्रीव्ड, ओनली दे कैन गो टू जस्ट। जैसे कि लैंडलॉर्ड एंड टीनेंट में झगड़ा हो तो सिर्फ ये दोनों में से कोई जा सकते हैं। अब मान लो कि टीनेंट को लॉ पता ही नहीं है, तो वो कैसे जाएगा कोर्ट के पास? तो ये तो इनजस्टिस हो गई उसके साथ। तो इन दैट केस कोई तीसरा आदमी एक PIL फाइल कर सकता है जुडिशरी के पास कि दिस इज हैपनिंग विद दीज पीपल एंड दे शुड बी प्रोवाइडेड प्रोटेक्शन। ठीक है। नार्सरी, वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नेम। Okay, sir, but can Supreme Court interpret the Constitution in dispute resolution? Generally, dispute resolutions are not constitutional cases. कोई ये थोड़े ही जाएगा जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाके इसलिए थोड़े ही झगड़ा करेगा कि ये वाला उसमें क्यों लिखा हुआ है। तो generally it's not about constitutional cases, but if a matter of constitution will emerge, Supreme Court will certainly interpret that as well. So I think what can be the emotional aspect of emotional abuse in domestic violence? No, that's open to the judiciary how they interpret. If somebody is torturing someone mentally, provoking to commit suicide, mentally torturing to take to bring more dowry, do certain things which the person do not want to do, emotional abuse है। हाँ मन बताओ।
Sir, in some books I have read that Supreme Court can issue writs like mandamus, warranto, and over prohibition and all that.
11th क्लास में रेट पढ़ेंगे,
ठीक।
डिटेल से पढ़ेंगे। Anything else? चलो ठीक है, let's end it here. We will meet back at 3 p.m.